Subscribe and hit the bell icon and never miss another video.
I would say Bollywood wouldn't do it. When I would try and sell an idea, when I was going around trying to have people invest in the D, when I did movies that people said will not work. But what happens within Bollywood, because it's just kind of run by a small clique, a few cliques, they shape and hone the talent that they invest in to conform to what they believe sells. And because the same formula has been selling for decades, they don't allow for individuality.
So I'm catching up with Abhay Deol, who's all the way over in LA, which is why you can see he's in the day and there's like a little photo bomber in the back. How are you doing, Abhay?
I'm doing good. What about you? It's been so long since we've actually had a chat like this.
It has, and I think it's become this really weird new normal, but it is so great to see you in a show. I think now OTT platform, literally where you're seeing all the action. So how did you pick this one? I'm sure you got a lot of scripts coming your way. What made you pick this one?
Well, the story was very solid. Science fiction isn't something we do. You don't see much of that out of Indian cinema. This one, though, doesn't go into the space of laser beams and UFOs and spaceships. It's more high concept, high drama, and that was another thing that was attractive about it. It plays around with time, it travels through time, and it's the journey of this character that was extremely intriguing because it gets personal. It doesn't just stick to he's a CBI detective, right? And he's trying to find out why this plane crashed 35 years later, but it's more than just that. It also helps him discover who he is. So I just thought that element of drama really added a humanistic story to something that could have just been a simple sci-fi piece. Yeah,
absolutely. And it looks really fun. It kind of like, as soon as I saw the trailer, it gave me like flashbacks of Lost and a whole bunch of these shows where there's so much like history, which I'm super excited about. So when you're shooting for a miniseries, how is that different from when you're shooting like a whole feature film?
Well, this was shot as a film, and then now it was made into a miniseries. I guess, like you said, OTT platforms are the future and the way to go. So I think they decided to go with the miniseries because it's a format that works well for OTT platforms more than just films. Though I wonder how that'll translate, because with 4 episodes, it's just 3 intervals in a movie. That's how I see it. So there was no difference in shooting this as shooting a movie, because we shot it as a movie.
Right, of course. And is it kind of a weird feeling when you're doing a digital release? Is it different from like a theatrical release?
It's definitely different. It's a lot easier. I was in Netflix's first film out of India, right? Chopsticks. That was their first film production out of India. And I'm somebody who has had to come around to accept marketing as part of my job. I really fought it. At the beginning of my career, I was like, my work should speak for itself. I'm not going to show up. Every time I ran away to New York, I didn't even do any marketing. So it took me a while to find a balance. I was on one extreme. We all live and learn. And I was trying to come around to say, like, all right, how do I do this? How do I make this, I had to see it as part of my job, but how do I do it in a way that doesn't become too much? Because I don't like things being about me. I don't like being in front of the camera when it comes to interviews or talk about myself. I hate it. So I had to stop hating that. But with the and come around to accept it and maybe even like it. And then people like yourself, it's nice when you kind of vibe with somebody. Then I just focus on the person.
Yeah, and I think it's more like, and now you get to do it like over Zoom chat, so it's more like having a
Zoom chat makes it easier, and then the person you're talking to. So I just focused on don't focus on the interviews that are bad or people who have an incentive or an agenda. Focus on the people who are just doing their job just like you are and are pleasant, So that made it easier. And with the Netflix and the digital film marketing, it was even more easier because you don't have, one of the things, no matter how much you accept it, but driving from one studio to another, one news channel to another, one city to another, answering the same questions, I would literally lose my voice by the end of the day. And that's, a lot of actors have that experience. But with Netflix, they were so well organized and planned. It was all under one roof. Who had to came to that place. Because obviously, being an OTT platform, they have rival channels. Not every studio is going to accept them, or your channel is going to give them space. So it's a different world. It definitely has a different setup, and that was enlightening. I almost missed having to go to different studios and getting more interviews. But I was like, what the hell? You always want what you can't have. I mean, what is wrong with you? This is your
It's
ideal
so
world where there's just a select few, that come to talk. The person I do speak to every day because I have to is my mother,
right.
because she calls.
I saw something on your Instagram that I
Yeah.
thought was super cool. Your hashtag making what Bolly wouldn't. Could you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that? That was a really cool idea, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I did that in May, I remember. It was just kind of, sometimes you recollect on your journey, how it's been, what is your story, what defines you. Now, I'm somebody who hates definitions. I can't be put in a box. So, but still, there are things that do define you. And having made films that wouldn't conform to the mainstream, and being in a time where you're locked down and the OTT platforms are picking up as a result of, it just made sense, And as far as making what Bollywood wouldn't, the particular saying goes, I've been saying that for years. I just haven't been public about it. I'd be like, Bollywood wouldn't do it. I would say Bollywood wouldn't do it. When I would try and sell an idea, when I was going around trying to have people invest in Dev D, when, I did movies that people said will not work and happened with me time and time again, I was like, Bollywood wouldn't do it. I used to say that. Yeah. But then for Instagram, it made sense to say making what Bollywood, which even JL50, I think, can fall under. It's funny you asked that, because I was almost thinking, like, if I do a post on JL, I should put the hashtag making what Bollywood as well really under that.
Good. And you know what I think is that you don't see, like you said, you don't see shows like this or plots like this here. And I wonder, is it because people are worried they won't do it well, or it's so hard to compete with international shows that do it so well? So, I mean, I got a couple of sneak peeks of the first couple of episodes, and I'm really intrigued the way it's done. So what do you think it takes to make a show like this that has intrigue and this sci-fi element to it? What really makes it click?
Well, I mean, look, honestly speaking, the talent is there in our country. We have tremendous amount of talent, a tremendous amount of individuality. But what happens within Bollywood, because it's just, kind of run by a small clique, a few cliques, they shape and hone the talent that they invest in to conform to what they believe sells. And because the same formula has been selling for decades, they don't allow for individuality. Dissent or rebellion is not romanticized in our culture. We're a community-driven culture. So, in an American culture where individuality is looked upon as the most important thing, rebellion is romanticized. Whereas in our country, rebellion is frowned upon and looked upon as disrespect. So that dictates how and what we make.
Awesome. And for everyone who's going to watch the show, because I'm already hooked, can't wait to watch the rest of the episodes that come out. It's super interesting. Very unique plot, but for everyone who's going to catch a glimpse of this and say, okay, should I go watch the show? Tell us a little bit about it and why they should watch it.
As you saw in the trailer, it's a show about an aircraft that crashes and a CBI detective set to investigate the reasons for its crash. And turns out it was a craft that took off 35 years ago but has crashed only now. And in sort of the process of finding out what this is about, obviously the main characters travel back in time. And in the process of finding the truth, my character Shantanu also finds out things about himself that he's never known. And that's what as I was saying, made it more interesting when it became a more humanistic story. Why should you go see it? I never force people to do anything. See it if you want to. I mean, it's different for sure.
How many times
not like
your shirt off and all the thirst trap people?
How many times I take my shirt off? I have one topless shot. I do, yes, in the beginning.
There you go. That's a reason.
There you go. That's why you have to go see it. It's just in the first 5 minutes of the movie. You don't even have to watch the whole thing.
Amazing. Abhay, thanks so much. It was great chatting with you. Thanks for catching up with me, even though you're on the road. I really appreciate it. And congratulations.
My pleasure.
So great to see you back on screen. Excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Take care.